Phil Magnin, the director of Biblical Family Advocates, says, logically speaking, if everyone's sexuality was expressed heterosexually, then humanity will survive and perpetuate our own kind for generations to come. But simply put, if everyone's sexuality was expressed homosexually, we would go extinct. Therefore, homosexuality is counterproductive to the survival of human race. Homosexuality does not offer the stability of a traditional family. Children need a real male father and a real female mother for proper and healthy development. Research by social scientists suggests that children reared by openly homosexual parents are far more likely to engage in homosexual behavior than children raised by others. Children of homosexuals have a 4 to 10 times greater likelihood of developing a non-heterosexual preference than other children. Homosexuals have a higher incidence of infidelity. Tim Leslie says that studies on matrimony place the male fidelity rate between 75 and 80%, and that of females between 85 and 90%. Homosexuals remain faithful to one partner about 25% of the time, and it is not unusual for homosexuals to have hundreds of sexual partners in their lifetime. Homosexuals have shortened lifespans. Phil Magnin, the director of Family Advocates, says homosexual couples should not be able to adopt children. According to many studies, the lifespan of homosexuals is much lower than that of heterosexuals. These tragic conditions create a much less stable life for that of the child and of the other spouse. Giving a foster or adopted children to homosexual partners is a form of relational child abuse. So, also, homosexuals have much higher incidence of domestic violence. Ali Martin claims that same-sex should not care for foster or adopted children because they experience much higher levels of domestic violence than heterosexual counterparts. A man involved in homosexual behavior is 500 times more likely to be a victim of violence or violent assault at the hands of his own lover. Homosexuals have a higher rate of molestation than heterosexuals. 29% of the adult children of homosexual parents have been specifically subjected to sexual molestation by their homosexual parents, compared to only 0.6% of adult children of heterosexual parents having reported sexual relationships with that parent. So having a homosexual parent appears to increase the risk of incest with that parent by a factor of about 50. Homosexuality is not genetic. Neil Whitehead wrote My Genes Made Me Do It, says that identical twins have identical genes. If homosexuality was a biological condition produced inescapably by the genes, then if one identical twin was homosexual, in 100% of the cases his brother would be too. But we know that only about 38% of the time is the identical twin homosexual. This proves that homosexuality is a choice rather than just what you inherit. It's a lifestyle, I guess you could say. Homosexual relationships are dangerous and unhealthy. In general, gay men are about 35 times higher risk for developing anal cancer compared to the rest of the population, and the risk for HIV positive gay men is more than double. HIV gay men are likely to have other STDs like HPV. HPV affects 65% of HIV negative gay men and about 95% of HIV positive gay men. Condoms only provide a 50% protection rate against this. Homosexual marriage is not a right. Phil Magnin, the director of Biblical Family Advocates, says discrimination based on good judgment is a protection for the stability of society and upholding an unalterable moral. Besides, sexual orientation is only a behavior, not a fixed condition like race. To give an immoral behavior a protection status or special rights makes a society a proponent of that behavior. This is harming to society as a whole. Homosexual marriages will lead to other unnatural unions. Defining marriage as acceptable when it is simply loving and monogamous is highly problematic, which could lead women to marrying their horses, men marrying their dogs, adults marrying their kids, brothers marrying their sisters, and mothers marrying their sons. Leviticus 18:22. In this passage, interestingly, the sin of homosexuality is listed just before the sin of bestiality in the passage. And in Massachusetts, according to a Earl he says, according to Family Research Council, once they had forced the issue in the court of Massachusetts, only 43% of same-sex couples who live together even bothered getting married. And in California, the percentage of the state population of gay is 5.2%. So is it really worth it to risk the instability of the family over 5%? But if it's anything like Massachusetts, it will be more like 2% that get married. So is it really worth it risking that 2%? And it could possibly unbalance the rest of the population. Gay marriage is not a civil rights issue. Defining marriage as a union between a man and a woman would not deny homosexuals the basic civil rights accorded to other citizens. Nowhere in the Bill of Rights are homosexuals excluded from rights, including the right to marry. However, no citizen has unrestricted right to marry whoever they want. People can't marry children or multiple people. Such restrictions are based upon the accumulation of wisdom from societies and cultures around the world. Earl Heiser says, other claim that same-sex marriage is a civil rights issue and class those who oppose it as comparable to those who oppose the civil rights for African Americans. Yet when the issue was put to the public referendum in California, a majority of African Americans who went to the polls voted against same-sex marriage. Are they ready to call these voters bigots? So basically, the people they compared themselves to, when it came to the polls, those people didn't even support them. Homosexuals have the same rights as heterosexuals. Since 2005, same-sex couples in California have been able to register as domestic partners with the state and thereby gain virtually all of the same rights and responsibilities as married couples under state law. And same-sex marriage would cost more on the taxpayers because evidence suggests that when states adopt same-sex marriage, opposite-sex couples are more likely to decide there is no need to get married prior to having children. The cause and effect is open to question, they admit, but correlation is definite. An increase in single parenthood and family dissolution as a secondary effect of devaluing marriage will be devastating to children and will generate significant additional costs to taxpayers. Since single parenthood and family dissolution cost California taxpayers approximately $4.8 billion a year.
Your time is up, by the way.
All right.